Hey guys, we're going to talk about Legion, the newest Marvel comic-based TV series, and we think possibly the best. I mean, we've only seen the first 3 episodes, so we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and say it's absolutely, but Terry, very promising what we've seen so far of this show.
The pilot is unlike any superhero visual medium I've ever seen. I'm talking about like movies and TV shows and that sort of thing. I had a really high bar because I love what Noah Hawley did with Fargo. I think those 2 seasons are phenomenal television. Watch them if you haven't. So knowing that he was coming to Marvel and doing his own spin on Legion and sort of already this really interesting and dark and twisted character, I was very intrigued. And that first episode especially just like blew me away. Visually, so much of it was done practically too.
Yeah.
It's not even done with CGI, so it's just so stunning and sets us up in this world that's really unlike, I think, anything else we've seen on television.
Yeah, I should say we're not going to go into full spoilers,
Yes.
so don't worry about that. But also, I feel like just to make sure everyone is on the same page, yes, this is not a Marvel's Legion MCU show, but Marvel is co-producing this. They're fully involved in this. So when we say this is one of the best Marvel shows ever, we're not just saying based on a character from Marvel, because they are behind the scenes involved in it. And I'm also a huge fan of Noah Hawley's Fargo series, and that's what made me really excited about this. And it just has such a distinct tone. It does not feel like Fargo, but I think it also it feels as sort of specific as Fargo. Like you just feel really like the person behind it is as a steady hand taking you through some very quirky events. And that's hard to do because sometimes you can see someone do something like this and it just becomes chaotic to watch.
Right.
But it doesn't. It's about a guy who has a very chaotic mind and he's got these mental issues, but he also has superpowers. And a big question of the show, of course, is what is causing what. But you watch that pilot and it sucks you right into it.
And structurally, it's very nonlinear too.
Yeah.
It's about as chaotic, like you said, as his own mind. But I think what's interesting too is this is an X-Men property, but it's not connected to any of the other X-Men properties that we've seen, the movies, the forthcoming TV shows. And I think because of that, Noah Hawley has a lot of freedom to do his own spin on what X-Men is. And I don't know, I felt coming into this, you could miss the Marvel tag at the beginning, you could get pretty deep into this episode and not realize that it's necessarily an X-Men show or mutant show. But then once that side of it does present itself, it's so apparent and I think really interesting. And especially for Marvel as a company, like it's really exciting to see them challenge themselves and offer up different experiences like this, like they did with the Netflix shows as well. But I think that this is very much, even more rich and quality television, and like you said, like actually probably their best TV show yet.
Yeah, and look, I love me some shared universes, guys. I love the idea of like crossovers and talking about events that we know from other films and TV shows, but you don't need that to be a great show. And I think that sometimes, as we've seen, it can be limiting, of course, because that means there's always a restriction. Oh, well, you can't show that character, so you have to just mention them. Whereas Legion, and again, they have their own limitations, of course, because they can't just do whatever they want to do with all these characters, but by focusing on an obscure character, surrounding him by a bunch of original characters, because only David is from the comic books, it really lets them just go into their own realm in a way they can't on any of the other Marvel shows or even in the X-Men movies with even their loose continuity still having to touch upon a lot of elements. I think it has a cool, interesting group of characters. The visual style is awesome.
The talent is amazing too, like beyond Dan Stevens. You also have Rachel Keller from Fargo and Gene Smart. Jermaine Clement is playing Gene Smart's character's husband later on, which I'm like so excited about that. In the 3 episodes we've seen, we haven't met him yet, and I cannot wait. And also just I trust in Noah Hawley. Like he is one of the most talented showrunners and very much I think an auteur in that way that now we're seeing it in a different facet on Legion from what we saw in Fargo. And I think he's just being able to be inside his mind and see X-Men and see Legion through his sort of unique visual style is so exciting.
This is not a show clearly that I think people should look for like the big superhero action. It's not trying to do that. It's not trying to do like that straightforward thing. But I think that actually makes it even more exciting when those moments pop up, because that's not what the show's about. but it still exists in a world of mutants. And so once in a while, something crazy is going to happen because he's not the only mutant on this show. And it kind of pops even more, I think, than in, I love The Flash, but The Flash is like a world of superpowers and superheroes. And this is something completely different. And also that mixture of sort of the 60s, 70s retro with like the sort of past future, like how people kind of envision the future. Even it's set in the contemporary world, but it's all through his point of view, and he's got a skewed point of view. It's just a really cool mixture that I'm excited to see more of.
Yes, I'm excited that it is only 8 episodes too, so we'll be soon like back in this chair talking about the finale and being able to get into more details, but hopefully our enthusiasm is infectious and sells you on this being just a really, really great show from the start that is worth your time.
Yeah, so check out Legion, let us know what you thought in the comments, and for plenty more on Legion and all things Marvel on TV and all things superheroes on TV, keep it here at IGN.